We have one more talk by the excellent Susan Gerbic.
Excellent.
And Susan.
Susan.
Am I in that frame? I kind of played around with it. Okay. Let me move this out of the way. So thank you guys for staying. It's again, you know, for doing something. We're getting started with the Chicago SkeptiCamp and Chicago, and it's just so exciting to have talks today and that you guys are here. Oh, I gotta plug this in. So I'm going to talk about psychic mediums. Now, this is completely different from what I was talking about with the world of Wikipedia. This is my other passion, and I have been published about what I'm talking about in the New York Times a few years ago. They followed me in one of my stings, because what I do is I do psychic stings. I used to do them with my partner, Mark Edward, who died last year. And so now it's just me, and I'm still working on these. But what happens, and we were talking earlier today about empathy, right? We were talking about empathy and how important it is to have empathy, to understand what it is that's going on with the person who believes odd things. I mean, really, we can't have great conversations with them or learn how to combat it or help them through until we are able to kind of put ourselves in their position of what they're in and learn from them. Because it's more complicated than you think. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with education. Well, a little bit to do with education, but it's really about emotions and what's happening in these people's world. So when I started studying psychic mediums a little over 10 years ago. And as I said, I've done stings and caught them, and lots of things have happened in that time. But now I've become more interested in what's happening in the world of those psychic mediums who are people you wouldn't know their names. They're just mom and pop kind of psychics, and what's happening in that world. I'm also very fascinated with, and in that world I'm finding that they're more controlling. They're more controlling people for their health questions, financial questions, that kind of stuff. Whereas the psychics you see on TV like Thomas John, Tyler Henry, John Edward, they don't usually go into anything that has to do with health, finances, or anything of the sort. It's these lower level mediums who are in a group of maybe 10 or 15, 20, 30 people. That's where the real damage is actually being done, because they're making a community and it's more intimate, and they start to know much more about the person, so they're able to control them better. I'm learning a lot more about that. But what is actually going on, I find fascinating, is the idea of why people can't see that it's fake. I mean, we're sitting here, you're gonna go, well, of course, that's phony. I mean, duh. I mean, think about it. I talked earlier about COVID and what happened with the pandemic. No psychic predicted that, none. And I know that because I went in and looked at everybody I could think of, all of their social media and their websites, and no one predicted it. In fact, most people went along about their lives. They scheduled events where you could go see them. Psychics scheduled their vacations during the COVID when it was lockdown, because they didn't foresee it. So how is it that these people are still in business? I find that fascinating. When it's obvious, you know, we've got tsunamis, fires, all kinds of things, but people believe.
Can I ask for a definition?
Sure.
I'm ignorant here. Is your definition of psychic only somebody who sees into the future?
That's a really good question. I'm glad you stopped me. A medium, a psychic medium, is somebody who claims they can communicate with dead people. Like have a conversation with somebody's loved ones. And that's my main focus. So a psychic could be somebody who sees into the future or has great insight into your personality or can talk about your past. That's a psychic. But a psychic medium is one that says they can do all that and talk to your dead loved ones. They're communicating with me. You know, they see dead people. I see dead people, I guess. So a medium is really what my focus is the people who say they can communicate with dead people. And it's a little niche.
And so your starting point is that's just total bullshit, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't do that. It's impossible. They're dead. And they're still dead. So you can't communicate with yeah, no. So that's my premise. Some people don't agree with me, but that's where I'm at. Okay, so to speed up on this, so I am not talking about the Wikipedia project, I'm talking about the psychic world, so that's me over there on the right-hand side, and that is a term that my boyfriend Mark Edward created, grief vampire. These are people who latch onto your grief, and they will exploit you. They will exploit people in grief. All right, okay. So this is my website. I have, not a website, but this is my YouTube channel. It's called Psychics Explained. I get into really the real weeds of what's going on in mediumship, and I'm gonna show you some readings. They're only like a minute or so long. But my question is, what is going on? Why do people who have maybe have been skeptical about everything in their lives up until this point, but they just can't see, why is this person predicting that, I mean, why is people saying these things? They communicate with the dead. Why are they doing that when it's obviously just nonsense? What is going on? And that's my question. And I apologize to Kyle, who's seen this how many times now? I don't know. I've added a couple slides, so. All right, so what is really going on? So here's the first thing. You guys heard of Tyler Henry, the Hollywood medium? He's the hot newest psychic. It's been out since 2016. I know you have. Since 2016, he is the guy. His name is Tyler Henry, and he had a TV show called The Hollywood Medium, and he talks to celebrities, and then he talks to celebrities' dead family members. Okay, so what happened is Tyler Henry. Do you guys remember Ricky Lake? She had a talk show back in 2002 or something like that. Very popular talk show you could be on. But did Tyler Henry tell Ricky Lake her house would burn down? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me tell you the story. So January, you guys heard that Hollywood was on fire, right? And I mean, Malibu was on fire, all these awful things happening. So here is Ricky Lake on Instagram a few days after her house completely has burned down. Her house in Malibu just burned down. So she goes on to Instagram and she puts this post out, and it says, "The great Tyler Henry medium called it. Less than 3 months ago, on October 15th, 2024, Ross, her husband, and I were on Tyler's show, and guys, he saw the fire. The show is on Netflix. I urge you to watch it. Live from the other side with Tyler Henry. OMG, I'm praying for all those impacted by this ongoing nightmare, including my new friend Tyler Henry, medium." Now, so Tyler Henry has had this TV show, it was on Netflix last fall. And what he would do is he would walk into a room and there'd be 5 people sitting on a couch, and the lights in the auditorium would come on, and it was a live audience, and he'd sit and give a reading to those 5 people. And that was the show, and he'd do it for an hour, and that's what you're gonna see. I'm gonna show you a clip from that. So October 15th, 2024, Ricky Lake and her husband were on this TV show. Now, several days after her house is burned down, just a few days after her house is burned down, she puts this Instagram post out. So don't you think that maybe she has something better to do than putting out an Instagram post praising Tyler Henry? Unless he was right. So if he was right and he told her house was going to burn down, I'd be screaming it from the rafters myself. But if he doesn't tell her that, then what's going on? Why would she think that he told her that? Because I mean, she gives the date and everything. I mean, you would think she'd have better things to do. So what I'm going to do is the media picked up the story, and then they did talk about it and how, supposedly Tyler Henry told Ricky Lake that her house had burned down. They hit the news. Now, I'm going to show you this clip. It's about 2 minutes long. Hopefully the video works.
So you may have to change your audio output to your HDMI.
Well, we think we fixed it. So
Oh, you think you did?
We think we did. Let's see.
I've come across. And it says, when you keep in mind, there might end up being coincidences where not only do we lose something, John, I feel like that's probably sounding concerning. I think this may have already happened. if there was a loss from material objects from both fire and water though, that's the kind of weird distinction. It's two separate things.
Okay.
So we're gonna end up finding that there's a story where like, there was a house fire or something along those lines. A fire risk. But there's separate from that, and this is got a little bit of my editing a little printed. When we had like a really bad storm and our basement flooded and got a bunch of pictures ruined and we couldn't ever bring them back. There's just something about watching water seepage into a place it shouldn't and damaging them.
Okay.
So keeping both of those things in mind.
Okay, well, the fire already happened.
Fire already
You
happened.
don't see another fire
No.
happening. Malibu.
Yes, oh gosh.
Yeah.
I get it. Every 10 years I feel like they get a big one.
Yeah.
But the kind of emphasis here is for some reason on fire and water. We gotta watch it out.
Okay.
So.
Alright, sounds good.
Okay, so that was Ricky Lake, and it is clear, just 4 months or 3 months before, she sat there with Tyler Henry, and she remembers that he said her house would burn down. We all just saw that. Did he say her house was gonna burn down? No. No. He said, the fire that I'm seeing in your life has already happened. Your house will not burn down. And she goes, but I'm in Malibu, it's very scary. He's like, oh, tell me about it. Your house will not burn down.
It'll be
All,
water.
I've seen water damage, maybe ruining some photographs, but it has already happened. But what is going on with Ricky Lake? Why in the world would she think about that? Why would she say, oh my gosh, my house just burned down. Didn't Tyler Henry tell me my house was gonna burn down? And she puts out this Instagram post. So there's something going on in her brain that makes her do that. 'Cause she's not dumb, she's something. And what I think it is stress. She's very stressed. So her memory is probably gone, you know, as far as this goes. I find that fascinating. So now I'm gonna show you a couple more things. Now this, I'm gonna show you this clip, it's about a minute long. This is Tyler Henry, and this is him recording from the fires. This is the medium.
Largely on fire right now, so we got an evacuation warning. There's no power. I don't really have cell service beyond right now where I'm uploading this. But I just want to let everyone know we're okay, we're safe, we're keeping an eye on buildings and how things are going. I really feel for my neighbors, all the pets. It's just devastating beyond words. So it is what it is in this sense. I can only do so much currently. I'm just trying to take it one moment at a time and keep you posted. So I'll let you guys know what there is to return to.
Fascinating. This is the psychic, the same psychic from the fires. He's fleeing from the fires. Now, why would a psychic need to flee from fires? I don't know. But how do these people stay in business when it's obvious that they have no ability whatsoever to do what it is that they say that they can do? And that's fascinating to me. Okay, so I have written this up. I do write for Skeptical Inquirer magazine, and most of the things I write up are online. And this SkeptiCamp that we're at right now, I will be writing this up. So within about 2 or 3 weeks, you will be able to see, hopefully Avi will send this out to the list of whoever's there, but I will write up the talks and everything and include the videos and so on Skeptical Inquirer. So this article that I have, Turning a Hit into a Miss, is talks about that clip you just saw about Ricky Lake and why she's saying what she does, my thoughts on that. So again, this is my Psychics Explained. This is my YouTube channel where you can find out more. Now I'm gonna do a few more clips. We're gonna think about this again. So my question is that is interesting me is why does a person hear something that is completely the opposite of what was actually said? Once we look back on the coverage, we say, that is not even close to being right. As far as I know, Ricky Lake has never come out and said, oh gosh, I must have been really stressed out. Actually, Tyler Henry didn't really say my house is gonna burn down. As far as I know, she's never said anything like that.
You've never asked her directly, have you?
Well, it was all over the media. So you would think Ricky Lake would have issued something saying, oh, I was just stressed out or something. He really didn't. But her house really did burn down completely. There's videos of it, her trying to save her house. Why would she try to save her house? Why didn't she take everything out if she knew Tyler Henry had told her the house is going to burn down? But she doesn't, and those videos, like I say. So here's what's interesting to me, because that was about a 3-month kind of time She had the reading, then 3 months later, she's forgotten. Now, I'm gonna read this to you. This is a testimonial. And the psychic is somebody you've never heard of before. And the woman who's writing the testimonial is just a mom. You don't need to know who she is, it's not important. So here's a testimonial this woman writes. Last night's reading with Mark Anthony was right on the mark. He provides hope and reassurance my son is still there in some form. Mark, that's the medium, offered details which I was genuinely surprised about. How could he have known my son's nickname for his girlfriend was Giuseppe? Thank you. Last night was really amazing. But I feel a little silly, however. I was truly in shock hearing the name Giuseppe again and having Mark pick me. So this is a testimonial written by a mother from a reading the night before. So this hasn't even been 24 hours. She heard the reading with the psychic. She writes the testimonial within a few, 12 hours or something. So now, if the psychic is telling her that her son's nickname for his girlfriend is Giuseppe, that's pretty wild. That would be pretty good evidence of something, Also, she says on here that the psychic picked her out of the audience. So what I'm gonna show you is about a 2-minute clip of a reading. And all you're gonna see on the screen is the psychic. You're not gonna see the mother. And what you're gonna see is the psychic is having a conversation with another woman who's running a Zoom session. And he's talking about something, I'll show you in a minute. And they're trying to, the moderator of the conversation is trying to figure out which of all the women who are on the screen, we can't see those women, which all the women who are attending the meeting is the one he's talking about. So they're chatting back and forth, trying to figure out who it is. So let me show you this clip and you can tell me what you think after, we'll talk about that.
I keep hearing either Joseph or Giuseppe. Giuseppe's an Italian name, Joseph. Giuseppe. And if Giuseppe makes sense with anyone else, raise your hand. I know we're running short on time, but I'm hearing Giuseppe. Okay, is there a Giuseppe? I know Elizabeth running out of time. I just want to see if there's a Giuseppe.
If there's a Giuseppe, then we need to find out. So anybody who is, isn't that also Pinocchio, Jenna is saying?
That was Geppetto.
So
That was Pinocchio's creator was Geppetto. But if that is resonating with somebody, that will work.
okay, well, let's see. Robin's saying it's her son's nickname for his girlfriend. And then we also have Petra saying her Papa Joe. So is his real name Giuseppe, Petra? Could you just...
Let's go back to the nickname. What was the nickname?
Joe, Papa Joe.
No, before that. There was boyfriend, girlfriend,
Okay, my son's nickname for his girlfriend, I guess, is Giuseppe.
and is the son in spirit?
Is the son in spirit? So let's see, could you tell us, Robin, if your son is in spirit? Yes, she says yes.
Okay, let's bring him up, because if I'm getting Giuseppe and that was the nickname, that when it's right on point like that, that's it.
That's my face that I'm trying to turn into a meme. Okay, of like, what? So think about what it is. This mother thinks she has just been in communication with her dead child, her dead son. So she's getting the reading. Within 12 hours, she's turning around and saying something completely different. And I find that fascinating. Why is it that she thought that he had said that? Because the psychic doesn't say that. He says, I'm getting the name Giuseppe, and then the mother is the one who says, that's my son's nickname for his girlfriend. But she's already forgotten that and turned it around to being in communication with her son. Isn't that interesting? And not only that, but Mark didn't pick her out of the audience of all the other women on the gallery reading. She volunteered, and she had to argue with another woman who had a different reason for it. So I find that all so interesting. And what I think is going on is that she's just in grief. She badly wants to hear from her son, and so she's gonna hear what she wants to hear from the son. And I think that's fascinating. Mm-hmm.
May I be uber skeptic here?
Sure.
There's a hypothesis that says
Sure.
that he hears the name in some way we don't know how to measure. It emanates from her, and that starts it off.
Well, that's what he would say, is that he's in contact with a dead spirit and the name is coming out somewhere.
Right, well, see, I'm not even getting to the details. All I'm saying is, we don't know how to rule this out.
Oh, yes, we do.
We do?
Oh, yes.
Okay, and I'll talk to you later. You'll tell me how.
It's cold reading. This is a classic.
Yeah, this is
psychic.
called cold reading.
Yeah.
And cold reading is when you call out, you do things cold, like I could just throw out a name that it could be a common name, or I could make an assumption about your age and your ethnicity.
I'm getting a motorcycle. Somebody in the room?
Anybody here
have a
have anything to do with a
grandmother.
motorcycle?
Right,
Yeah. And one of you guys is gonna raise your hand and you're gonna say, that's my uncle Joseph and blah, 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 and yes, yes, that's exactly right. Joseph's right here, right now. It's cold reading. So you're right. Yeah, it's cold reading. That's what we're seeing happening right there. I'm not gonna show this clip right here just for time reasons. But what I think is going on, I call this effect the motivated sitter. Because in the world that I'm in, the scientific skepticism world, we spend a lot of time talking about what is the medium doing. They're using cold reading techniques, hot reading, which means they have information on you ahead of time, or they're throwing out Barnum statements, or they're doing so many names, like they throw out.
Barnum statement is?
Oh, Barnum statement is something that sounds very specific, but it's actually true of almost every one of us.
Somebody here is sad.
Yeah, or,
Right.
you've always wanted to write a book,
Yeah.
or you have a scar on your knee.
You have a lot of, you have a lot of unmet potential.
Unmet potential. Sometimes you're very sad, or sometimes you just want to be home and be by yourself, but other times you're the life of the party. Those are
All
kind
of
of,
these things are true about me.
well, yeah, those are Barnum statements, but you can.
Exactly.
That's
5 in a row.
Gosh, I might be psychic. So all those kinds of things, these are all tricks we see the psychics use. I've got on my channel, and I write about these, all kinds of different tricks the psychics use. And I've been doing this for years, and I've been embedded with people who do investigate the tricks. But now I've been doing this a little over 10 years, I'm coming to the conclusion it doesn't matter what the psychic is doing or the medium, it's the sitter, the person who's getting the reading. They're doing all the work. It doesn't matter if the psychic is even close or even anything. They're misremembering it, or they're so in need to get that reading from that person.
Remember what he said about Geppetto versus Giuseppe. Well, Geppetto works. Yeah.
Yeah,
Geppetto's fine.
if that fits, we'll
Yeah.
take Geppetto. Or you forgot there was another name out there. Joseph.
Right. Yeah.
Now, how common is the name Joseph?
Right.
So exactly. I'm surprised there was only 2 people battling it out for the name on that call. I don't know how many people were on that call, by the way. It must have been probably 50 people, and they're all
Or
women.
any name beginning with J.
It could be a J name. Could
An
be
English letter. An English letter starts.
yeah,
with a
anything
letter.
with a letter that starts with, is there a letter in the alphabet? But so what I really think is going on, and this is kind of new, I don't think a lot of people have talked about this before, because there's not a lot of people who do the research I do, but I think this is what's going on. It is the sitter that is the person who's probably doing the most of the work, and educating people helps, pre-bunking them, explaining it to them, that this is kind of what might happen. That you're gonna misremember these things and always record your readings, and so that you can go back and listen to it again. But that's what I think is going on. I think it's fascinating. So this is my YouTube channel, Psychics Explained. If you're interested in that, you can go to my YouTube channel, you can watch videos, but they're all very in-depth. Like I take a reading and I evaluate it very quickly, and I go through it, and we talk about it, we see what's happening, what's not happening, what could be happening. But if you have trouble remembering Psychics Explained, you can go to my other channel, which is Psychics Explained, which is the same channel. It's just the play on the word. Somebody pointed out to me that Psychics Explained is actually See, it's just, isn't that clever? I didn't think of that, but it might help you remember the channel. But anyway, this is my YouTube channel, if you wanna follow it. They also write about these articles all the time for Skeptical Inquirer, very specific, but that's what I think is going on. But I think it's a fascinating subject, and it tends to be almost always women that are preyed upon by these mediums, and that is my talk. Make sure you look at my swag. I also have over here some Skeptical Inquirer magazines that I brought from home. I please hope that you guys will take these home with you. And I might even be published in one or two of them, but most of the time I do publish only online, but I'd like you to take those when you go home. SciCon is coming up in Buffalo, New York in 2026, in June 2026, and that is our big conference for the skeptic community. Anybody else heard or gone to a SciCon before? 3, 4, yeah, you did, huh? So that is the big, wow, there's not that many people here, more than half has gone to SciCon. So
You don't know, it's CSI Con.
Yeah,
I didn't know that at
CSI.
first.
CSI conference, the big conference, and I'll be running the Sunday papers.
Is that what the amazing meeting has turned into?
No, the amazing meeting
Let's start a replacement.
SciCon was before it.
Really?
Yeah, SciCon existed a long time before. It was in New Orleans, it's been in Tennessee, it floated around.
Okay.
And then it kind of stopped when the Amazing Meeting got popular, and then the Amazing Meeting quit, and then they started back up to SciCon. So it's a more professionally run TAM, but it is kind of that same feel. But now they're not having it in Vegas, they're having it in Buffalo, New York this year, because it's the 50th anniversary of the magazine.
Yeah.
This has been around for 50 years, so it's pretty a big deal. Any questions about psychic mediums? Woo! No? Okay. Is it
Yeah, I
great?
do have a question.
Sure.
Do you think any of that stuff is actually possible?
No.
Okay. I don't know.
I mean, I don't guess there's no way to technically disprove it, but we don't have any reasonable reason to believe
There's
that there
no-
should be, that it should be true.
Somebody earlier today in one of the talks said there's no, who was it? Who was,
It's the Feynman quote.
yeah, Feynman said, what was it?
You should never be fooled, or,
You're the easiest person to fool.
Yeah.
But somebody else said it today, there's no mechanism behind it. Who said that? It wasn't me. Somebody today said there's just no mechanism for it. I mean, there would be no, it would be like, does that inanimate object talk to me? You know, you could say, well, we don't know if that inanimate object talks to you or not. And you're like, but how could that? I mean, at a certain point, you gotta have a level of,
Well,
this
It's
is
not like,
possible,
is
this
there,
is not.
is there a God? You know, you believe in God, so I know because there's no evidence, but I won't say that,
I mean, yeah, like, I wouldn't say
you know, I won't.
that,
this is your cue.
I know,
It
go-
just,
you go first.
oh, I would probably think that,
if you show me the evidence, then.
yeah,
then,
show me high quality evidence that so far,
I wanna see a limb regrown.
well, yeah, but that's,
Okay, I'll tell you where part of this is coming from. I'm on an airplane and I'm bored and I watch a movie, right? And one is a documentary about this department of psychology, it's called Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia, and they're into near-death experiences and recollections of past life. Okay? Anybody familiar with these
Yeah,
guys?
sure.
Okay. I thought their evidence was compelling.
Cause you're watching a film,
you're watching film.
you're watching
of
something that's
entertainment.
edited to make you feel that way. You're not seeing the real evidence, you're just seeing a film, you're not watching a documentary.
Look
Everything
at
has
the
an
Wikipedia
agenda.
article.
Yeah, look at the Wikipedia article.
Yeah, go to
And then-
Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, so no.
Sure.
So, yeah, go ahead, you guys are gonna say.
Yeah, so I went to SciCon in I think it was 2022.
Uh-huh.
And I subscribe to a philosophy called Bayesianism.
Well, yeah,
It's about,
Bayesian theories,
it's
yeah.
named after Bayes' theorem, which is a theorem in mathematics. There is actually a theorem that
Yes,
tells you,
Bayesian, sure.
right, given some evidence, how do you update your beliefs in a theory? And when I discovered this about 15 years ago, I was horrified. I have an advanced degree in physics, and I'm interested in critical thinking, and I didn't know about this. And I was like, what went wrong in my education system that I just never knew about this? Well, people do get exposed to it in like statistics classes, but just as like one among many statistical methods. That's the way most people are exposed to it. But Bayesians think that you should apply this to everything. But in Bayesianism, you can have negative evidence for things, right? So if I have a 6-sided die and a 20-sided die, right, and I put them in a bag and pull one of these dice out of sight, and so it could be either die, right? It's 50-50. Then I roll the die and I tell you I got a 3. Which die did I most likely pull out of the bag? The natural instinct of most people was to go, it could be either one, right? Because either one, you can roll a 3 on either die.
But be the one with the least numbers on it.
Right, but when you prompt them and say, look, I gave you a bit more information, 3s come up more frequently on 6-sided dice than 20-sided dice. And so you can calculate this out. If we play this game 120 times, you pick each die 60 times, you get 10 3s on the 6-sided die, 3 3s on the 20, and so it ends up 10 out of 13 3s will be on the 6-sided die, that's 77%. So in theory, you can do that. If you have predictions from different theories, you can then use that to go from looking at the evidence to go which theory is more likely to be true. And in the case of things like a lot of paranormal stuff, like if there are psychic effects, I mean, there are lots of great movies. I love movies like Harry Potter, fantasy, things like that, where it's like there are psychic effects, right? Or there's magic. Right. And there's nothing logically inconsistent about these worlds. They're just different worlds than we live in. And so it really comes down to, like, if there are psychic effects, what is the probability that these psychic effects look like there are no psychic effects? That number is very, very small. And in fact, evolutionary biology essentially proves, for all practical purposes, that the God of the main religions do not exist. Designer gods do not exist. People don't see that. What they think is that what Darwin did is he neutralized the argument from design in biology. Like, that argument is off the table. He didn't. Like, if you look at it in a Bayesian lens, he inverted the argument. Because of all the ways that an all-powerful designer could create life, there are infinitely many more ways of creating it that don't look evolved.
Right.
God can make an evolved world. God could align the particles and fields in the early universe knowing that humans, and humans alone, would evolve.
And put fossils in the ground.
Right. I mean, so then, a lot of Christians believe that evolution is true. They believe in God, that they were designed, because God could align all the particles and fields, knowing that we would be the product of evolution, right? But God has other options, and what we don't think about is, what are all the ways that God could design life? And if you analyze all the different constraints that evolution puts on life, like, evolution can only create an infinitesimal sliver of the possible kinds of life, but design can create all of them.
Yeah.
So, all things being equal, this essentially disproves that there is an all-powerful creator.
That makes sense.
I wouldn't say disprove, but
No, I
it
would
makes
say
it
so.
all negligible.
Oh, I'm willing to go, I'm willing to say disprove.
Sorry, I'm a mathematician, so I
I'm at a point where it's like, okay, no.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can make that chair into a human being, God should be able to do that, because he has infinite amounts of powers, and the fact that he isn't. But the chair will evolve over time from people constructing better chairs, or, I mean, we human beings are doing it. It reminds me of something that James Randi said about Uri Geller. He said, he said, if Uri Geller is bending spoons with his mind, he's doing it the hard way. I mean, because you just bend a spoon, you don't, it's a magic trick. So you don't have to have, and that's what I feel about with the psychic mediums. And this is where I'm at, is, like I said, I've been looking at this for so long. If psychic mediums, and I'm at a point now where I'm sick of it. People go, oh, well, this, and I had this reading, and this guy told me this thing. I'm done with that. I'm at a point now where we need to start talking to these people back and saying, so there's a website, www.missingchildren.com. If you can communicate with the dead, why are there so many names on that website? If you can communicate with the dead, Why are the psychics not finding those children? Because obviously, if you can communicate with somebody's grandfather right here, then you should be able to talk to a dead child and find their body, and figure out who abducted them, or if they're living in another house somewhere because somebody took them. But yet, no psychic has ever solved a crime, not even a slight crime, nothing.
Really?
Never.
They've
So-
claimed they've helped.
Oh, they claim it, yeah. Or in retrospect, they'll say, oh, I did that. You know, you throw out 50 different names and one of them hits, but you threw out 50 names, one of them hits.
Or
And
there
the
could be essentially
Hot
hot
reading,
reading
yeah.
behind the scenes
Right.
that they don't talk to you about.
Yes, exactly. So there was one case of a psychic that said she solved this case, and then, like in the last 10 years, and it turns out the psychic actually was what had seen news coverage where the media had reported it already. So she's like, I think the baby's out in the field over there, and it's like, but the report came out, and then you said, so you could have hot read, you were gonna say something, I think about God or something. I'm
No,
sorry, I probably lost the train of
I got-
thought now.
I've got potentially a lot to say about this, but maybe you and I should have a conversation at some point.
So I'm at a point now, you cannot communicate with the dead, and nobody is psychic. You could show me stats, and sure, there are stats out there that kind of look like maybe remote viewing might work, but only if you really squint your eyes, and only if you don't have really strict protocols on your test.
Right.
I mean, Daryl Bim had some study coming out, he's a psychologist, something, he did kind of tests, and James Alcott, who's a member of our community, said, yeah, but those are dirty test tubes. You know, he didn't do good straight protocols. So there's nothing. If remote viewing worked, we wouldn't need satellites and drones. I mean, that's how I look at it. If you could douse for things under the earth, then why do we have sonar? And, you know, it's just,
But
I just-
you know, your latest fascination and focus on the victims, I
Mhm.
think, is highly warranted and shows a great deal of empathy. And I know you've been talking about empathy. You and I talked about it, and it is also a current focus of yours. But I present to you the concept of motivated reasoning and the idea that we all do that.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, why are these people so gullible, you might say?
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're in a state of distress, as you pointed out. And motivated reasoning is easy to reach for, especially if you don't have the tools to combat it. If you don't know that magic is always false, that there is no such thing as magic, if you don't know that already, you're going to be primed to grasp at that as an explanation for what you see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm a strong advocate of teaching critical thinking and recognition of logical fallacies and Bayesian reasoning and some of these other things to people before they're in a state
Yeah,
of crisis.
pre-bunking, that's what I call pre-bunking, yeah. But I think you have to be specific about these things. When you show videos like this and you explain what's going on and you have some empathy, hopefully, saying that these women are in grief. Also, I bet every single one of these women was raised in a Christian faith or a faith that believes in life after death. So if you already believe in angels and demons and life after death, then it's only like a second or two to be beyond that to believe that, why couldn't somebody just communicate with them?
I've met people at atheist meetings that go the opposite direction.
They believe in life after death, or they believe in mediums. I've had
Right.
atheists that tell me that
Right.
They believe in what?
atheists who say that you can communicate with the dead.
Right.
And I'm like, how could,
Right, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in religion, I don't believe in all the mumbo jumbo, but I think there's something to ghosts.
yeah, it's
right.
like, well,
Can
that's life
somebody
after death.
explain to me what one has to do with the other? I don't see the connection between
Credulity.
God and communicating with the dead. You're saying the overlap is Christianity?
No, the overlap is credulity, to believe something in spite of a lack of evidence.
Right.
Okay.
But if you're raised this way, if this is your culture, and these mostly, almost all of these are women that are being victimized. I mean, it's almost the entire clientele of these people are women. they were raised with a worldview of religion, a life after death religion. Everyone around them believes this stuff. And everyone, everybody in their family believes this. So why would they question it? It's not even occurred to them to question.
Yeah.
They would say, oh yeah, but I saw on TV this thing, or yeah, that psychic solved that crime, or I read this story, or my friend told me this thing. It doesn't dawn on them to critique it, because you'll also have to remember that a lot of these women's lives, they're stressed. They're working 2 jobs, they got young kids at home, their husband might be cheating on them, they're taking care of their grandma, it's just, they don't have time to think about these things. They're in a lot of stress.
What if you do
Anyways.
more harm to
Oh,
the
I'm sure.
person by debunking it? This is something
I know that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've got a sting going right now that I know it's gonna hurt some people
The
who really
victims.
believe it.
Yeah.
But, I weigh with that with myself, and I think this person's gonna be very hurt, because I'm about to just dish on her beliefs
Right.
and show that the person she believes is a real psychic is cheating. But I thought to myself, I have to end it before, if I blow it, not blow it, but if I explain this medium as a fraud, then it'll help women not be victimized.
Yeah, subsequent.
But this one person who believes her so much is gonna be harmed. She'll probably use some cognitive dissonance and call me some evil human being or whatever. Motivated reasoning, but in the end, yeah, I know. And we need to go, cause I'm sure it's time, but I'm happy to talk about this later, but anyway, thank you guys for your attention.